welcome to this video. Today I thought I would take you on a little tour of my sketchbooks. I have 4 books to go through, from my first one that I started in February 2023 all the way to my current sketchbook that I use today. So let's get into it. Here we go, book number 1. This one is kind of special to me because I made it myself from scratch. I found an old handbag at the second-hand shop. I cut it into pieces and restitched it into a book cover. I also bound the pages myself because I couldn't find a sketchbook with the kind of paper and dimension I like. So this way I could choose my favorite watercolor paper and complete a designer sketchbook that suited my needs. I am starting off the book with some pen sketches. I made this book with 300 GSM watercolor paper so I could essentially use any medium I wanted. These first ones are drawn with a fountain pen. This one is drawn on location, just practicing my perspective drawing, and at the time I was quite happy about the result, but I'm happy to say I have made some big improvements in my art practice since then. I was very much into these intricate doodles at this time, and I must say I do quite like them still. On the right side I've drawn a kookaburra, a bird you find in Australia. We're about to travel there for a bike trip at this point, and I was getting into the spirit of sketching Aussie things. And here I am in Australia on my bike trip. On the left was just a tree outside my tent one morning and I decided to draw it. And on the right we have my motorbike, a Kawasaki 250. And here is just a few more doodles and sketches while I'm on my bike trip in Australia. I was so lucky to encounter this cute little wallaby and her Joey. She was not scared of us at all and she was just hanging around our campsite. I've always been into photography even before I started drawing and painting, so I'm really glad I can share some of my footage here. Here we have a little bit of a weird section in the sketchbook, a few pages not finished and a few pretty random sketches, but I think all sketchbooks has this. Alright, we have changed mediums here. This is made with alcohol markers. I love markers. The only drawback is that they soak through the paper. I have still to this day not found a paper they do not soak through. So if you know one, please let me know. Here I am in Georgia. So this year I started in New Zealand where I live, then went to Australia, then back to New Zealand, then to Georgia, and then later on I go to Norway, as you will see in my later sketches. Back to Georgia though, they have some amazing architecture in Tbilisi in the old town. There's churches like this and just great old buildings made of stone everywhere. Wow, pardon my voice, it just keeps getting croaked up. I don't normally speak this much, so it's starting to wear out on me. But bear with me, I will try and make it more pleasant for you. And here we have arrived. We are in Norway. This is Fjord, one of the most popular destinations to see when you're in the country. did a few bike trips while I was there, and this is a little cabin I saw and a little farmstead up in the mountains. And here we got an old stove church. We have heaps of these in Norway. And this is a self-portrait of me sitting by a little lake. This is probably my favorite painting in this sketchbook, just because I kept it loose and very minimalist, in my opinion. And on these last pages, I did find some patience. And I sat down and I went into the details and I wanted to get it perfect. And I was really happy with these last pages and these berries. Because normally I sit down and I will do like an hour and then I'll be done. But once in a while, I get the motivation and I sit down and I do it properly. And on these few last ones, I really feel like I nailed it. Alright, that's it for the first one. And let's get on to the second one. This one I started in March 2024. Here you can see a vineyard I painted. Here on the next page, I'm in my work truck. I was waiting for something to get delivered, and why not sketch in the work truck? This is a new bridge they built in town, and they were quite cool. It was quite hard to get the perspective, but I quite enjoyed sitting there painting it. A couple quick sketches while on the go, a waiting room, a little picnic by the river. Another one of these new bridges. Pretty much the same, except it's red. On this one, it's now autumn in New Zealand. And we're down in this little town down south. This is a church, I think. This is a little park in that same town. Beautiful pine trees. And a river just outside of that same town with beautiful autumn colors. And yet again, I am in Norway. I'm from Norway, so I do go back there every year. This is a wee lake near where I used to live. And this book is not really meant for watercolors, that's why everything is fairly dull. But I'll get one later that has a bit more color to it. This is a stone bridge I found on a bike ride one day. And it's not used anymore, but it was a very good subject to paint. As a new YouTuber and creator, it's quite funny to listen to your voice this much. I never listened to myself before, but I'm definitely getting it now. And also not being a native English speaker and being from Norway and then moving to New Zealand, my accent is all over the show. And it's kind of funny to listen to be honest. I mean, kind of horrifying for me, but hopefully it's enjoyable enough for you. And that is the end of that sketchbook. Let's do the next one. It's a small one, which is quite good because you can finish a painting really quickly. And this one actually has proper watercolor paper, so the colors will be a bit stronger in this one. I can already see there's some improvement in my art. And at this point I've done quite a bit of watercolor, so I'm finding a little bit of a technique that works for me. But I tend to do a few different mediums. I'll do watercolor, and then I'll do gouache, and then I'll do some oils, and then I'll just do some pens. So sometimes when I start over and go back to watercolors after many months of not doing it, I just have to start over because you forget. You just forget different techniques. But at this point, I had done it for a few months, and these were coming up quite okay. Been in the art world a little while now, and you keep hearing, stick to one thing, stick to one medium or one kind of style that represents you, and that's how you get recognized. And I definitely see that, and I do believe it, but I just can't. I just want to try everything all the time, and I want to change my style, I want to change the mediums, and I think that's okay. You just have to do what works for you, because if you get bored and you don't want to paint what you're painting, then, well, what is the point? And I'm sure there's a lot of you that feel the same way. You just want to paint what you want to paint. On this page, I made myself a little challenge. I set a timer and I had to finish one of the sketches within that timer. So we have 8 minutes on the top, and then 11 minutes and 13 minutes. The longest one was 17 minutes. And yeah, I quite like this little spread. I liked it so much that I did another 5 pages like this. I am not the best at drawing faces, so I made a little spread practicing, and I found that baby faces is a little bit more easy than grown-up faces. And that is the end of book number 3. So we're on to the last book, and in my opinion, the very best one. In this book, I discovered gouache, and I decided that I was only gonna do gouache paintings in this book. This is my current sketchbook, so I have not finished the whole book yet. I'm about halfway through. So these are my very first painting in gouache, and there was a bit of a learning curve. I'm used to watercolors, and gouache is completely different. I started off using a bit too much water, and things was looking a bit murky and muddy, but then I watched some tutorials, and I did get better as I went on. So I hope you can tell further into this book that I've gotten a little bit better using this medium. I also decided that every spread, the 2 pages, was gonna match each other, either be one painting or be 2 paintings that complemented each other. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you made it to the end, thank you so much. I would very much appreciate it, a like or even a subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.